or one of these pop-ups,
Mhm.
I need that ink to be one with the fabric.
Okay,
It
so then
won't
you do
crack.
types of,
And the other thing is, you can get really nice soft materials, these stretch materials. You can fold them, and now I don't gotta ship an 8-foot tube. They'll come to life, and a little bit of stretching, you gotta stretch them a little though, because they, if I fold them, they got a crease. But as soon as I stretch them, the crease is gone. And it's a great, great product. So these pop-ups are also a good product, because what they'll do is you'll take 8 feet by 8 feet, and it'll literally collapse down into a package that's not an overhead bin suitcase, but something that you could easily check. So basically maybe 20 inches by 36 inches
like
by
a suitcase.
12 inches, like a suitcase, like a big suitcase. Not the biggest suitcase you'd see.
Right.
And it collapses down to like
And
that.
it pops
And it
literally
literally
out.
pops up, and what you do is they have all these hooks. And it's fine if you're using it indoor. I had a client that wanted to done these a fair amount, and then ordered it, and then we weren't too far in the process. I hadn't even printed it, I hadn't done anything. She's telling me she's using this for an outdoor step and repeat. The thing weighs like 8 pounds, it's gonna blow right over. If a little kid knocked into it, it would fall over. And then you use it outdoor? No, outdoor is a whole different beast. But that's why, and I didn't that time, that's why asking the client what they're doing with something, I never would have even wasted the time with it. We ended up doing a step and repeat on using pipe and drape. Pipe and drape's those big, you know what it is? Basically, it's what you see in a convention, when you get a booth
Mhm.
in a trade show, that back part that's the black cloth or whatever, that's pipe and drape hardware. So you've got these uprights, and you got these crossbars, and
So do you just sew like a,
well, we do a pole pocket on the top, usually a 3-inch pole pocket on top. I put another pole pocket on the bottom. I'll put something in there. I could either use the crossbar that goes with it, or I could even just use metal conduit, because that's not hooking into anything. That's just giving it a weight so it drapes nicely. These things are big and bulky. You don't got the little thing that weighs 15 pounds and collapses down to a suitcase. Every one of the bases alone, and there's 2 bases, weighs 35 pounds.
do you provide the bases or no? They're at the shows already, aren't they?
Well, shows are different. They're a whole other beast, because
Okay.
you've got this thing called drayage. Look it up, drayage. Even if I rent it, usually what we do at Peak is we rent these things.
Okay.
And it's a whole pain.
Oh, it is.
And everybody complains about everything until they don't rent, because I have to deliver these heavy things. I need to pick them up. It's usually an install. The best is when we're installing and taking it down, because I gotta be there both times anyway. You know? If I don't come back that night and the guys put it to the side, invariably I'm missing a part or something. I gotta charge for that part. It may only be a $20 part, it may not be a big deal. It might be, I did this thing for, it was like 6 or 7 step and repeats. I was out at the Brooklyn Botanic Garden, which I actually live near there, and I went and did the pickup myself at midnight. And I go and I say, "Where's the hardware?" He said, "There's the hardware." I'm like, well, that's the hardware for about 3 or 4 of them. It's fine. If I leave now, I'm going to charge you for the balance, the parts of it. It's probably $1,000 or more. All of a sudden, I found every single piece of hardware. People are a little lazy.
Yeah.
You know, I actually do another trick with these pipe and drapes. What I like to do, I mean, I see a lot of people do it, but only for installing it. A lot of this pipe and drape hardware gets knocked up over time. So it started out, it's usually chrome colored, silver, not really chrome. Takes abuse. You put this 35-pound thing on top of the upright that's just, it's necked up. So what I will usually do is I'll extend, got the pole, let's say it's 10 feet wide.
Mhm.
I'll make the pole pockets end to 10 feet. I'll extend the graphic another 6 inches and then wrap the poles.
Oh,
That way I can cover my ugly poles. I can't do anything about the corners. When you look at the thing flat on the table, it kind of looks like it has notches in it. Because the top pole pocket is 10 feet, the bottom pole pocket is 10 feet. But in the middle, the guts of it, that is probably 8 feet tall and what was 10 feet wide, is now 11 feet wide. And that way I can wrap the poles.
okay.
If I gave that to somebody who I wasn't doing the install on, they wouldn't know what to do with it. And they may not even give me a picture. I was thinking about doing it for that one at the Botanic Garden the other day, but they didn't give me a picture that would accommodate it. I can't create, they were photographs.
No.
You know, if it's a blue background, I can add whatever I want. But on photos, I couldn't, and everything was, that was a tight deadline. The events are good business, though. I mean, I gave them a really fair price, and it was still a $14,000 job. You gotta sell a lot of 36-inch boards
Yeah.
to do a $14,000 job.
Yeah.
You know?
So the more we know about the grand format, that's why I really
You shouldn't be
appreciate you.
afraid
Yeah.
to sell it unless it's something Peak and ABC don't do. Then you have to have, you know, you, like I said, you job it or you're not gonna job it. Anything you do, you should know that we're gonna support you. Right?
Good to know.
Even if you don't know what truly needs to be done, say it. If you don't know that you're filling out E like in the right way, ask Mark or ask me or ask somebody, you know what? How do I make sure I do this? I'm gonna make sure I'm not too short, not too big. You know, you want bleed, right? Most of the bleed we talk about in the install, we cut off. We trim it right on site. We don't care. It's a few inches of material, we care less. When you're short, it's deathly, right? You know those silicon edge graphics, you know what those are? All right, so they've got frames that's not even the next wave, it's been a wave.
Mm-hmm.
When you're doing, say, in-store graphics,
Mm-hmm.
and let's say they got a pretty big wall to fill, and they want it 8 feet by 10 feet, and they're constantly changing things. They've got these things where basically we'll print onto a fabric.
Mm-hmm.
Best fabrics are stretch ones because it makes it nice and tight and whatever. And we'll sew a silicone gasket around the whole thing. The frames themselves have a little front-facing groove over the whole thing, whole perimeter. And basically, your gasket is on the edge and fits into that groove.
Oh, that's cool.
And done right, it's all tight. It looks like it's a nice stretched thing. The edges are nice silver, and usually they'll ask us to install it, but really they don't need to. They, you know, they wouldn't, you know, you don't want someone doing it who's totally but they can't be dim-witted, but if they're fairly handy, like if you can use a power tool and at home you're doing things, then you could do this. Because there's no power tools. You're just jamming it in and putting it in right. But they look great. You only buy the hardware once.
How about the magnetic stuff?
Magnetics are another great thing.
'Cause they
All
roll
these
up,
things,
but they're interchangeable.
interchangeable. The big thing with magnetics is, the two biggest things with magnetics are, you only got the one cost of, basically what we do when we print the receptors. When you think about the magnet and the refrigerator, right? We print the refrigerator. The magnetic part is already there, that's the permanent thing. Now we can print onto media, that is the permanent thing.
Okay, the receptor is what we print on?
We print on the refrigerator, the receptor.
Okay.
That's the
see.
cheaper, less expensive material. That's what you want to keep swapping out.
Okay. So the magnetic is what you're putting down as the
The
frame.
first thing, or
The-
whatever.
the-
A lot of times they'll be like, the headers or something are the magnet. Well, first of all, the whole back has to be, but when I'm talking about like when we print, if we're covering something, I don't need to print what we're covering.
Right.
Although you can put the receptor over the magnetic part. You can have layers. I could even have 2 receptors on it. It's not infinite. They're okay magnets. They're not like, going to hold a body up.
Okay,
But the thing doesn't weigh much, and it's fairly thin.
yeah,
So you got to remember that you're printing the receptor.
okay.
In fact, I'll tell you, I don't want to talk about things that don't go right, but here's something that doesn't go right. I'm kind of just mopping it up now, and it was not our fault. And we made it right. We made as right as we could because the client had a way they wanted to do it. We were doing Sci-Fi. They're rebranding their hallways. And they did a lot of painted walls. They were painting them like, blues or blacks or whatever. And we were just doing cut vinyl, putting it on. It looked great. They wanted one wall where they were going to use the magnetic paint. They painted it. They did everything. Nothing is sticking to this wall. Sidewalk graphic, which sticks to everything. It was a combination. First we thought it was because the bumpiness, the way this stuff works, is there are chips of magnets in it. And we thought, oh, well, there's not, it's like when you have a sidewalk or you have